Here's 5 reasons not to move to St. Petersburg, Florida. When my wife and I told our neighbors and friends that we're moving to Florida, they told us,
"You're crazy. Florida's way too dangerous."
Now, none of them had ever lived in Florida, and especially not St. Petersburg, where we were moving to. But they reassured me they were right because they watched the news. So who's right, Florida or my neighbors? I'll go over each of these issues and let's see who wins. You ready? Let's jump in.
You can't miss this right here, although you want to. The invasive Burmese python slithering up north. FWC reporting the species are now being found outside their established living area. They say pythons are typically found in South Florida's Everglades. However, for nearly 2 decades now, they have seen an increase of reports over 100 miles away in Charlotte County.
Okay, maybe my neighbors had a point here. I live in Pinellas County. It's not too far away from Charlotte.
Right now, researchers are working to find out how the snakes got so far north.
Just an FYI, only in Florida, they let you hunt these bad boys now. But here's my question. Doesn't every state have an invasive species problem? Let's see.
There's nothing quite like a pure Michigan summer, but invasive species like zebra mussels and sea lampreys pose a troubling risk to our stunning Great Lakes.
That's gross. You can actually Google invasive species and you'll get a list of every one in every single state. Guys, St. Pete is not overrun with pythons. I actually have not seen a snake since I lived down here. So while this is an issue in Florida, it's not enough to keep me from moving here. So I think my neighbors were wrong. So here's how I'm gonna score it. Florida 1, neighbors 0. This next one's a whole hell of a lot scarier. So let's see if they knew what they were talking about. Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, my name is Grant Warrington and I moved from cold and cloudy Michigan to St. Petersburg, Florida, and I have found a life that I never knew existed. And I believe this is truly paradise in America. Explore it with me, and I'm gonna show you why you should either move here, visit here, or invest here. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Now let's go. My neighbors told me there were alligators everywhere, and I gotta admit, I was a little concerned before I moved down here. Check it out.
No! Go away!
Whoa, did you hear that thing hiss at her? I give this lady a lot of credit, man. I'd be freaking out if this happened.
Oh my God, I had to push him away with my paddle.
Ma'am, I would suggest backing up, considering you just made him pretty bad.
Okay, so you hear the guy saying, ma'am, I'd suggest backing up. Man, this lady does not look scared. She's gotta be from Florida, because people that live in Florida are used to gators, not people like me, right, who've just never had to deal with this. So this lady's calm, composed. I give her a lot of credit, but let's see what happens here. Okay, at this point, I don't know who's crazier, the alligator or the lady. Like, one of these two need to get the hell out of the way.
Look how close he is to me. He came after me and tried to bite my paddleboard.
Wouldn't that be the first indication to get the hell out of there and get off the water? This lady's a Florida native. She's used to this, and man, she's got a lot more courage than I do when it comes to alligators. But it's not just this woman. All locals are not afraid of gators. Check this one out.
Cody Gribble at 6? Well, you know what?
That's insane. So I did have an encounter with an alligator myself, and I lived to talk about it. Check it out. I lived in downtown St. Pete, and this is Mirror Lake, and look who's hanging out inside Mirror Lake is this gator. Now, these turtles aren't scared of him because his jaw isn't strong enough yet to crack their shells. But one thing they do is they keep their heads and their feet away from him because he can bite those. The city did come, pulled him out of the lake, and that was the end of that. So this isn't looking too good for Florida. It's looking like my neighbors might know what they're talking about these gators. But hold on. I got very close to an alligator. Closer than what you just saw. Check it out. This was me at the Legacy Aquarium in Utica, Michigan, and I think my life was much more in danger here don't you? So while there's a lot more gators down in Florida, I rarely see them. So I got to score it Florida 2, neighbors 0. So here's the thing. So I feel weird telling you about this, but this is going to have to be between me and you. My neighbor actually asked me if I was moving to Florida to join a cult. I thought she was crazy until I looked into it a little further.
Clearwater is very, very interesting. If I could do a sales pitch to you, it's a cult buys a town. That sounds like a movie or a video game, but it's very much real life. And it's something that is so fascinating because it is still ongoing today.
Okay, this isn't helping my case, but what cult is he talking about? They probably don't even live close to where I'm at.
So to quickly explain Scientology, it's a modern religion made by the science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard. He conceived of this religion in the 1950s. The religion follows his teachings, which are laid out in his top-selling books, Dianetics, the modern science of mental health. He's a science fiction writer, but also a lot of what Dianetics is it's just like a compilation of self-help books.
Okay, so that really doesn't sound too bad, right?
And he kind of just put it into one big book, and then he threw a giant alien on it and volcanoes. Like, if you look at the book of Dianetics, it doesn't really correlate with what's inside. And a lot of people who started following the religion in like the 60s, they loved it. I mean, it's self-help practices that are actually practical, that actually help people. It's just when you get you're in a cult and the leader goes kind of crazy and, he's running away from people in the ocean. We're going to get to that soon. It gets a little dicey.
Okay, so first of all, I'm not in a cult. You can all calm down. It's not why I moved down here. But I did find out the capital for Scientology is in Clearwater, Florida, which is about 20 minutes from me. But I think just about every state in the union has had some form of a cult. California and Texas had some of the biggest ones. And I got a friend that's a Scientologist, and he does some really good work for a lot of people. So just because I don't believe in his religion doesn't mean I pass judgment on it, even if I do think it's kind of crazy. To each his own, man. And yes, I just tackled religion on my video. I'm breaking all kinds of barriers here, people. Yeah! Moving on. Florida 3, neighbors 0. So no, moving to Florida list is not complete without hurricanes. You knew this one was coming.
Florida takes on more landfalling hurricanes than any other state. This morning, NBC2 First Alert meteorologist Lauren Hope is diving into where in Florida those major hurricanes are the most common.
Well, we know that it's not all too often that Florida sees a quiet hurricane season. In fact, since 1851, there's been only 18 seasons where we had no known impacts from a tropical system.
Okay, so that doesn't sound great right off the bat. So since 1851, only 18 seasons have been hurricane-free. Let's keep going.
In other words, only 10% of hurricane seasons are quiet here in the Sunshine State. There have been 15 major hurricanes that have made landfall in Florida since 1950.
Okay, 15 major hurricanes since 1950. That's important. I'm going to talk about that in a second.
So not only a lot of hurricane activity, but also powerful, devastating storms. Take a look at your screen. Here are all of those Category 3 or greater hurricanes that have made landfall in the Sunshine State.
Take a look at the map. Tampa Bay, St. Pete area has not had a direct hurricane hit it in over 100 years. So just to give this some context, Texas has gotten hit by over 9,761 tornadoes since 1950, with Florida only getting hit by 15 major hurricanes. Now, I know it's not apples to apples, but every state you move to is gonna have some issues. Now, I'd rather deal with issues in paradise, especially when they can tell you a week in advance when a storm's coming. So I'm gonna give this one to Florida, even though it's a close one. Here's the question everybody asks me, and I hate it when I tell them I'm moving to Florida. Doesn't it get hot in the summer? It still drives me crazy because they forget about this cold, cloudy, freezing thing in Michigan called winter.
When people ask me why we leave Michigan in the winters, because the roads are covered in ice and snow. You can't be outside unless you're bundled up. The skies are gray and gloomy every day. Seasonal depression is a real thing. That's why we escape to this.
There's nothing I hate more than somebody freezing their balls off in the middle of winter and asking me, doesn't it get hot in the summer? That's what they make air conditioners for. And people, yeah, it's hot, but it's really not that bad. I think a lot of times it's an excuse people make to justify their decision of living in a place that has shitty weather. Florida wins this one by a landslide. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video, and I'll keep bringing you great St. Pete content. I got another video right here that'll show you the top free attractions in St. Petersburg, Florida. You won't want to miss it. Click the video and I'll see you there.